Hello, hello. So today I'm continuing the conversation on the 5 forces of motivation. And today we're going to talk about courage. So I'm working through this book, Mach 2 with Your Hair on Fire by Richard Bliss Brooks. He is one of my mentors currently, absolutely amazing man. One of the things I really enjoy about him is that he is constantly working from an authentic place. He's very present and he's all about being curious. And he talks about in this book why self-motivation is one of the things that's most important to master in business and when you're trying to accomplish really big goals. And I completely agree with that. So wanting to hone in on the skills so that you can create your own self-motivation is actually one of the best things that you can do and one of the best ways to spend your time in personal development. So Mach 2 with Your Hair on Fire, how to master self-motivation and stay on fire for life. So today's is courage. And he says something here. Courage is not a genetic quality. Courage is a state of mind and heart. Courageous people see the same dangers as others do. They just act anyway. They make up something different about their ability to be successful. So I find this so interesting because I've been in business. My husband and I have owned our own businesses for 15 years now. And you think like when you maybe look at someone who has been successful for a long time or has done business for a long time, that they no longer have situations where they need to muster up courage, or they no longer have situations that make them nervous or whatever it is. That is not true. At least for me, it is not. I do lives every single day. I do multiple lives. I teach classes to hundreds of people. And I have to tell you, before every single one of my videos, every single one of my lives, I still do have to have a moment of like, okay, we're doing this. Okay, let's do this. Especially when I do my classes, when I know there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of people there, I do get nervous. But what I find is as long as I can make it through that first moment of needing to muster that courage, what always happens is I realize that the fear that I had built up in my mind on what was going to happen, what happens is like microscopic compared to what my fear built up in my brain. So that I constantly remind myself, but I still feel it. I still feel it, and I do it anyways. There's a story where my husband and I and my son, we went on a trip this summer to Moab, and we went rafting. And we do family rafting, so it's like super mellow and chill. You're just floating, no white rapids or anything like that. But we booked this trip to go on a four-wheeler drive, and I thought we were just going to go four-wheeling, like we're going to go 2 turns in the sand, and this is going to be really fun. And so as we start our ATV tour, not four-wheeling tour, I got to pay more attention when Jason's booking things. The instructor or the lady who's guiding us is like, okay, so we're going to start on the Devil's Back. And I'm like, that sounds pretty intense. Like, okay, that's quite the name. But I'm like, okay, she's just hyping us up. She's trying to get us all excited. I'm like, they let my son, my 6-year-old son come on this trip. This is perfectly safe, even though we're wearing helmets. And all of a sudden we start up the hill. And we're looking at this thing. I'm like, this is how we start. It doesn't look like a place that you can drive anything. It is literally up a rock. Both sides of the rock are cliffs. And the rock is like the same width as the wheels on our ATV. I don't know if any of you guys have been on ATV driving. You should actually go. But I was absolutely terrified. And that was just like the road to get to where we were going. So we did that. And then she's telling us all these stories about, now we're going to go to Hell's Domain. And like all these names of these places we were going were terrifying. And so was the tracks. And at one point we're going, Jason and T in the back are woohooing. They're having the best time. I'm literally crying and I'm yelling at Jason. Like, I'm like, this is the closest we've ever been to breaking up because I really hate you right now. I was having a horrible time. I had my eyes closed for probably 20 minutes straight of the first part of the adventure. But the whole reason I'm telling you this story is there was a certain point where once I got used to it, I started it and I really, he's like, you can get off if you want, but I didn't want to get off because how embarrassing would that be to like walk back and like wait at the bottom of this thing for 3 hours for my family to come back. I was like, no, I'm not getting out. I'm just checking my seatbelt. My helmet's on right. I'm just going to keep my eyes closed the whole time. But I did it anyways. I did it ugly. I did it crying. If I look back, I'm sure it was very embarrassing. At one point, T was like, Mama, are you okay? And usually I'm fake brave for him. And I couldn't even be fake brave for him because of how terrifying this was. So the whole point of that story is there was a certain point that I started getting used to what was happening. So we would go and we would start up this huge ramp. Then we go at the top. You couldn't even see where you're going to go because it was so steep. And then you just go over the top and then you go down on the rocks. And after we did that probably like 4 or 5 times, I was like, okay, I started feeling more comfortable. And by the end, I actually started to enjoy it. It was a miracle. So by the end, I was like, yeah, I earned my t-shirt. I'm telling all my friends about it. But the point of the story is that at the beginning, I did it crying. At the beginning, I did it terrified. I had to wear a helmet. I double checked my seatbelt, but I did it anyways. And then by the end, I realized, okay, there's the way that these cars are built. This is safe. Or this, like, I figured out through the action that it wasn't as scary as it seemed at the beginning. And it was because I stuck to it and I did it over and over again. And anytime I've done anything I had to be courageous for, whatever I built in my mind was way worse than what actually happened. So for instance, say if you're talking to customers or prospects and you're afraid of the no, that's like a big one, right? Do it a couple times, like just dedicate to be like, I'm gonna do this 3 times. Just expect you're gonna get a no. Expect that you're getting that. And then like just letting go and just focusing on the actions. So when courage is needed, I find if I just look at the actions, kind of like I just closed my eyes and I went through the actions, that I made it through. And then I realized, oh, well, that person said no, but that actually didn't hurt that bad because I'm coming from the place of service. And if they're not ready for that, that's totally fine. They know where to find me if they are, because I'm looking for the people who are ready for me to help and be a part of their lives. And that is such a big gift. So when you're coming from the place of service, a lot of that goes away. I find when I'm really nervous or I'm needing to muster up a lot of courage is because I'm being self-centered and I'm worried about the no, or I'm worried about what they're going to think about me or whatever it is, right? In the case of the ATVs, I was worried about dying. But this was important to my family, and I was like, all right, we're going to do this as a family. And I actually probably would go again now. It was actually quite amazing. But I realized that if I was focused on the action instead of the outcome or being attached, and I was focused coming from a place of service and heart, that there was less focus on me. So that took a lot of the fear away. And so it took me less to be courageous. And also because I was focused on what the other, being there for the other person, like this person, you know, I work with natural health for, you know, one of my areas, and I work with people helping them start their businesses. If I'm focused on them, then I'm going to give them the best that I can give them. And then it's up to them, take it or leave it. And then when you're coming from that place, one, you have posture, 2, you feel better about yourself because you're doing what it is that you really do want to do. You want to take these actions. That's why you're even doing this. And 3, you're being of service to someone else. So then things energetically always turn out. So that's kind of where I come from when it comes to courage, is just focusing on the steps and focusing on actions that are needed. And then less emphasis is put on you personally. But sometimes you're going to just have to start with your eyes closed, with a helmet on, and make sure your seatbelt's on and just charge forward, you know. But after those first couple of times, it gets much easier because you find your place with being heart-led and with being able to be of service. And then it kind of totally shifts for you. And then the courage isn't needed as much. But then there'll be something new that is going to require courage, but you can take it on because you know it's going to be an amazing experience and you're going to come out transformed to the other side. So that's my thoughts on courage. I'd love to hear your thoughts on courage if you have any opinions on that, or what you do to get past those areas that are really tough for you. Like, what do? Do you pump yourself up? What is it that you do? All right. Have a good one.